Record. Okie dokie, Gumby Pokey. We are going to be looking at this IRS stuff. We need to find out about the 1099 statements to borrowers. Abandonment. Let's start there on the top left. Abandonment. An abandonment occurs when the objective facts and circumstances indicate that the borrower intended to and has permanently discarded the property from use. You have reason to know of an abandonment based on all the facts and circumstances concerning the status of the property. You will be deemed to know all the information that would have been discovered through a reasonable inquiry when in the ordinary course of business, you become aware or should become aware of circumstances indicating that the property has been abandoned. If you expect to commence a foreclosure, execution, or similar sale within 3 months of the date you had reason to know that the property was abandoned, reporting is required as of the date you acquire an interest in the property or a third party purchases the property at such sale. If you expect to, but do not commence such action within 3 months, the reporting requirement arises at the end of the 3-month period. Statements to borrowers. If you are required to file Form 1099-A, you must provide a statement to the borrower. Furnish a copy of Form 1099-A or an acceptable substitute statement to each borrower. For more information about the requirement to furnish a statement to the borrower, see Part M in the 2019 General Instructions for certain information returns. Truncating borrower's TIN on statements. Pursuant to Treasury Regulations, Section 301-6109-4, all filers of Form 1099-A may truncate a borrower's TIN, Social Security number, individual taxpayer identification number, adoption taxpayer identification number, an ATIN, or employer identification number on payee statements. Truncation is not allowed on any documents the filer files with the IRS. A lender's TIN may not be truncated on any form. See Part J in the 2019 General Instructions for certain information returns. Account number. The account number is required if you have multiple accounts for a borrower for whom you are filing more than one Form 1099-A. Additionally, the IRS encourages you to designate an account number for all Forms 1099-A that you file. See Part L in the 2019 General Instructions for certain information returns. Box 1, date of lender's acquisition or acknowledgement of abandonment. For an acquisition, enter the date you acquired the secured property. Interesting. An interest in the property generally is acquired on the earlier of the date title is transferred to the lender, or the date possession and the burdens and benefits of ownership are transferred to the lender. If an objection period is provided by law, use the date the objection period expires. If you purchase the property at a sale held to satisfy the debt, such as at a foreclosure or execution sale, use the later of the date of sale or the date the borrower's right of redemption, if any, expires. The borrower's right of redemption. So we would need to know who the borrower is. Now, I know that Patrick Devine was saying the total opposite of what we normally would think, that we're the borrower, but we're the lender, because it's our energy, which I think is interesting. Normally you would think that we're the borrower from the bank, right? But he was saying that's the other way around. The banks don't loan us money. We sign our name and we are getting credit based on our signature. It's a little mind-boggling, I tell you. So when we filled out some of those 1099-As, the borrower was the courthouse and we're the lender. Sounds backwards to me. But let's just see if we can make sense out of this. For an abandonment, enter the date you knew or had reason to know that the property was abandoned. So when they're saying that we, I guess, became the energy for the, let's say the court case, the amount of money, $910 for the ticket. So when we do the 1099-A, we've abandoned that money, that credit, $910. But some people are teaching that you should put like 999, 999, 999, because we don't really know how much they're taking out, the courts, for instance. So the other thing is that we can't really make a claim about that. That's kind of a lot. So we can't really claim that. Like if you do a 1040 at the end of the year, you can't really claim that because you're signing for perjury on those things, 1090 or 1040 rather. So you can't really make a claim on that. I guess you can put it on there if you want the IRS to put a red flag on it and go investigate. But I wouldn't make a claim on that much. I'm just saying. But that's what other people do. And they are advising new people to do that. Let's just look at these directions and see what up. So for an abandonment, enter the date you knew or had reason to know that the property was abandoned unless you expect to commence a foreclosure, execution, or similar action within 3 months, as explained earlier. Let's see if I can scroll up here. For a third party purchases the property at a foreclosure, execution, or similar sale. The property is treated as abandoned, and you have reason to know of its abandonment on the date of sale. Box 2, balance of principal outstanding. Enter the balance of the debt outstanding at the time the interest in the property was acquired, or on the date you first knew or had reason to know that the property was abandoned. Include only unpaid principal on the original debt. Do not include accrued interest or foreclosure costs. 3, reserved. 4, fair market value of property. For foreclosure, execution, or similar sale, enter the fair market value of the property. See temporary regulations section 16050 J-1TQA-32. Oh my gosh. Generally, the gross foreclosure bid price is considered to be the fair market value. If an abandonment or voluntary conveyance to the lender in lieu of foreclosure occurred and you placed an X in the checkbox in box 5 into the appraised value of the property, otherwise make no entry in this box. Box 5, was borrower personally liable for repayment of the debt? If the borrower is personally personally liable for repayment of the debt at the time the debt was created, or if modified at the time of the last modification, enter an X in the checkbox. So when I did my 1099-A for my court case for $910, we were on a Zoom and Lucky L was saying to do 99999, like 9 nines. So we did that. And I have a feeling we checked yes, that the courts, were supposed to be paying. So we entered an X in the checkbox. I haven't heard anything from that. Although I do get phone calls, probably from third-party interlopers. They are bill collectors. They probably sold my ticket thing or whatever. And I'm getting a new slew of new, I don't know, bill collector people from the courthouse, traffic collections. Okay, box 6, description of property. Enter a general description of the property. This is for ticket KW, whatever it is. For real property, generally you must enter the address of the property, or if the address does not sufficiently identify the property, enter the section, lot, and block. For personal property, enter the applicable type, make, and model. For example, describe a car as car 2015 Honda Accord. Use a category such as office equipment. To describe more than one piece of personal property, such as 6 desks and 7 computers. Enter CCC for crops forfeited on Commodity Credit Corporation's loan. Specific instructions for Form 1099-C. The creditor's phone number, creditor, must be provided in the creditor's information box. Yeah, I put my phone number in there because I'm the creditor. It should be a central number for all canceled debts at which a person may be reached who will ensure the debtor, the court, is connected with the correct department. Do not file Form 1099-C when fraudulent debt is canceled due to identity theft. That's very interesting. I mean, come on, because when, you know, they make us like the ens legis, all capitalized name, and they're converting our proper name into the Maximus Capitis Dominitio. That is identity theft, boom, right there. So I'm just wondering, let's see, do not file Form 1099-C when fraudulent debt is canceled due to identity theft. I don't know. Form 1099-C is to be used only for cancellations of debts for which the debtor court actually incurred the underlying debt. File Form 1099-C, cancellation of debt for each debtor for whom you canceled a debt owed to you of $600 or more. Get out, fly. You are an entity. If you are an entity described under who must file. Well, let's look to see who must file. Who must file? File Form 1099-C if you are any of the following. 1, a financial institution described in Section 581 or 591A, such as a domestic bank, trust company, building and loan association, or savings and loan association. 2, a credit union. 3, any of the following, its successor or subunit of one of the following. A, Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation, FDIC. Interesting. B, National Credit Union Administration. C, any other federal executive agency, including government corporations. D, any military department. E, U.S. Postal Service. Interesting. F, postal rate commission. 4, a corporation that is a subsidiary of a financial institution or credit union, but only if, because of your affiliation, you are subject to supervision and examination by a federal or state regulatory agency. 5, a federal government agency, including A, a department, B, an agency, C, a court or court administrative office, or D, an instrumentality in the judicial or legislative branch of the government. 6, any organization whose significant trade or business is the lending of money, such as a finance company or a credit card company, whether or not affiliated with a financial institution. The lending of money is a significant trade or business if money is lent on a regular. Let me go back up to the top. I'm sure it's going to say basis. Oh, and continuing basis. Regulations, sections 16050P-2B, lists 3 safe harbors under which reporting may not be required for the current year. See safe harbor rules next. Oh, that's interesting. Safe harbor. Safe harbor rules. The 3 safe harbor rules in which an entity will not be considered to have a significant trade or business of lending money are the following. 1, no prior year reporting required. An organization will not have a significant trade or business of lending money for the current year if the organization was not required to report in the prior year, and if its gross income from lending money in the most recent test year, C3 below, is less than both 15% of the organization's gross income and $5 million. 2, prior year reporting requirement. An organization that had a prior year reporting requirement will not have a significant trade or business of lending money for the current year if, for each of the 3 most recent test years, its gross income from lending money is less than both 10% of the organization's gross income and $3 million. 3, no test year. Newly formed organizations are considered not to have a significant trade or business of lending money, even if the organization lends money on a regular and continuing basis. However, this safe harbor does not apply to an entity formed or availed of for the principal purpose of holding loans acquired or originated by another entity. In this instance, the transferee entity, including real estate mortgage investment conduits, REMICs, and pass-through securitized indebtedness, I've heard that indebtedness word before, arrangements, may be required to report cancellation of indebtedness. On Form 1099-C, see Regulation Section 1.6050P-1E5. Test year defined. A test year is a tax year of the organization that ends before July 1st of the previous calendar year. Boy, this is boring. For example, X, a calendar year taxpayer who has a significant trade or business of lending money is formed in year 1. X will not have a test year in year 1 or year 2. However, for year 3, X's test year will be year 1. In year 3, year 1 is the only year that ended before July 1st of the previous calendar year. in this example, year 2. Penalties. There are penalties for failure to file correct information returns by the due date and for failure to furnish correct payee statements. See Part O in the 2019 General Instructions for Certain Information Returns and Details Exceptions. Until further guidance is issued, no penalty will apply for failure to file Form 1099-C or provide statements to debtors for amounts discharged in non-lending transactions or forgiven pursuant to the terms of a debt obligation. That could be interesting. Multiple creditors. If a debt is owned or treated as owned for federal income tax purposes by more than one creditor, each creditor that is described under who must file earlier must issue a Form 1099-C. If that creditor's part of the canceled debt is $600 or more, a creditor will be deemed to have met its filing requirements if a lead bank, fund administrator, or other designee of the creditor complies on its behalf. The designee may file a single Form 1099-C reporting the aggregate canceled debt, or may file Form 1099-C for that creditor's part of the canceled debt. Use any reasonable method to determine the amount of each creditor's part of the canceled debt. Debt owned by a partnership is treated as owned by the partners and must follow the rules for multiple creditors. Pass-throughs and remics. Until further guidance is issued, no penalty will apply for failure to file Form 1099-C or provide statements to debtors for a canceled debt held in a pass-through securitized debt arrangement or held by a remic. However, see item 3 under safe harbor rules earlier. We already looked at that. A pass-through securitized debt arrangement is any arrangement in which one or more debts are pooled and held for 20 or more persons. Interesting. Whose interests in the debt are undivided co-ownership interests. Oh, that are freely transferable. Co-ownership interests that are actively traded personal property as defined in regulation sections 1 period 1092D -1 are presumed to meet these requirements. Debt defined. A debt is any amount owed to you, including stated principal, stated interest, fees, penalties, administrative costs, and fines. The amount of debt canceled may be all or only part of the total amount owed. However, for a lending transaction, you are required to report only the stated principal. See exceptions later. We'll look at it later. When to file. This tells you when to file. Generally, file Form 1099-C for the year in which an identifiable event occurs. Okay, so when did I file this? 2020. It's now 2021. So in 2020, it was when December. I think I filed it in 2021 because January. Generally file Form 1099-C for the year in which an identifiable event occurs. So I did do it on the 2020 form, the tax form, not the 2021, but I did it. I filled it out in 2021, but on the 2020 online. See exceptions later. If you cancel a debt before an identifiable event occurs, you may choose to file Form 1099-C for the year of cancellation. Now, my identifiable event occurred December 14th or something like that, and I filed it after. I did not do it before. No further reporting is required, even if a later identifiable event occurs with respect to an amount previously reported. Also, you are not required to file an additional or corrected Form 1099-C if you receive payment. I did not receive payment on a prior year debt. I didn't get any payment. When is a debt canceled? A debt is deemed canceled on the date an identifiable event occurs. That sounds good. Or if earlier, the date of the actual discharge. If you choose to file Form 1099-C for the year of cancellation, an identifiable event is one of the following. 1, a discharge in bankruptcy under Title 11 of the U.S. Code for information on certain discharges in bankruptcy not required to be reported. See exceptions later. Enter A in box 6. I think this is the one that Radiant Clone had told me to do. So I did A, bankruptcy, for this identifiable event. A cancellation or extinguishment making the debt unenforceable in a receivership, foreclosure, or similar federal non-bankruptcy or state court proceeding. Enter B in box 6 to report this identifiable event. A cancellation or extinguishment when the statute of limitations for collecting the debt expires, or when the statutory period for filing a claim or beginning a deficiency judgment proceeding expires. Expiration of the statute of limitations is an identifiable event only when a debtor's affirmative statute of limitations defense is upheld in a final judgment or decision of a court, and the appeal period has expired. That could be good. Enter C in box 6 to report this identifiable event. All right, let's see what else. There's more. 4, a cancellation or extinguishment when the creditor elects foreclosure remedies that by law extinguish or bar the creditor's right to collect the debt. This event applies to a mortgage lender. Interesting. Or holder, is that a holder in due course? Who is barred by local law from pursuing debt collection after a power of sale in the mortgage or deed of trust is exercised. I don't know. Enter D in box 6 to report this identifiable event. 5, a cancellation or extinguishment making the debt unenforceable under a probate or similar proceeding. Enter E, interesting, in box 6 to report this identifiable event. Number 6, a discharge of indebtedness under an agreement between the creditor and the debtor to cancel the debt at less than full consideration. For example, short sales. Okay, that would be a good one for if you had a short sale. I had a short sale. A discharge of indebtedness under an agreement between the creditor and the debtor to cancel the debt. Wow. Cancel the debt at less than full consideration. Enter F in the box. So if you, I guess if you wanted to do your 1099A in your short sale, F would be the one. A discharge of indebtedness because of a decision or a defined policy of the creditor to discontinue collection activity and cancel the debt. I mean, I can kind of see how creditor means the bank, but Patrick Devine was saying that we're the creditor. We're the ones that are the ones. So why would we want to discontinue collection activity and cancel the debt? That doesn't make sense. A creditor's defined policy can be in writing or an established business practice of the creditor. A creditor's established practice to stop collection activity and abandon a debt when a particular non-payment period expires is a defined policy. Enter G in box 6 to report this identifiable event. What just happened? Man, I hate it when that happens. How am I getting? What happened? How am I getting? Where did it go, folks? No, no. I really hate it when that happens. All I did was move my little deal. Okay. I guess I don't know where it happened. I don't know what happened to it. I'm gonna have to look for it. What just happened? I wanna buy a car with my signature. I wanna buy a car with my signature. My signature. My signature. I don't know what happened to that. How do I? No. Where is it? Well, that was really boring. But we need to know this stuff because we don't want to be making mistakes, right? I have no idea how to find that. There it is. Is that it? Yeah, I found it again. Okay. How do I get back on here? Oh boy. Where am I? Zoom. I don't know where I am. Hey, redirecting. This is difficult. I don't know where it is. Okay, stop. I want to look at this, but at the same time, oh man, which one is it? Here it is. I think it's, oh shoot, I hate it when that happens. Oh, goodness gracious me. I don't know what happened to that thing. Let's try this again. I don't know. This little new mouse is quite touchy. Got a new computer and I don't know how to use it. Okay, site. Cancellation of debt. Which one did I do? I don't know which one I was doing. Ah, here it is. Probably is this one. Yeah, there it is. Okay, so here we go. Let's find that. Fair market value. Yeah, we already went through that. Test year defined. I already went through that. Multiple creditors. Okay, come on. Pass through REMIC. Went through that. Exceptions. Yeah, I went through that. When is a debt canceled? Right. All right, I don't know where we ended. I think we were here. Enter G. Other actual discharge before identifiable event. Enter H. If there is another actual discharge before one of the identifiable events listed above. Exceptions. You are not required to report on Form 1099-C the following: certain bankruptcies. You are not required to report a debt discharged in bankruptcy unless you know from information included in your books and records that the debt was incurred for business or investment purposes. If you are required to report a business or investment debt discharged in bankruptcy, report it for the later of A, the year in which the amount of discharge. Oh my God, it smells so bad up here. I can't stand it. It's like some rat came in the engine and it just stinks. I can't deal. Rat stink. Oh God, poo. It smells so bad. Yeah, I'm gonna turn this air on. Whew, can't breathe. Okay. Whew. The cancellation or extinguishment making the debt enforceable under a probate or similar proceeding. Enter E. This is kind of interesting. A cancellation or extinguishment making the debt unenforceable under a probate or similar proceeding. Enter E in the box. 6, a discharge of indebtedness. I've heard that before. Indebtedness under an agreement between the creditor and the debtor to cancel the debt at, less than full consideration. We read this already. 7, a discharge of indebtedness because of a decision or a defined policy of the creditor to discontinue collection. We read this one. A creditor's defined policy can be in writing or an established business practice of the creditor. A creditor's established practice to stop collection activity and abandon a debt when a particular non-payment period expires is a defined policy. Enter G in box 6 to report this identifiable event. Other actual discharge before identifiable event. Enter H. I already read this. That's what's making me mad right there. Literally. It's ridiculous. Seriously. You're killing me, you little mouse. And I'm not talking about the rat. I'm talking about this computer mouse. It sucks. I just can't deal with this. I don't know how to deal. It's ridiculous. I'm losing my spot. Shoot. I hate this. It's bad enough that this information is so boring. And it's totally legalese. And it all looks the same, black and white. Come on, let's have some pictures or something. Come on. I don't even know what page that was. So this is page 4 here. Okay, good. It was page 4 because there's H, 8H. Read that. So here's exceptions. You are not required to report. All right, we already were reading this. Certain bankruptcies, read it. The year in which the amount of discharged debt first can be determined, or the year in which the debt is discharged in bankruptcy. Okay. A debt is incurred for business if it is incurred in connection. I'm trying to use the little mouse so that this is making me mad. I'm trying to go like this, use the mouse so that, you know, I can keep. Debts incur interest. This is pissing me off, man. Seriously. You are not required to report interest. However, if you choose to report interest as part of the canceled debt in box 2, you must show the interest separately in box 3. Oh my God. I don't know if I can deal with this rat stink smell. It smells so bad in here. Non-principal amounts. Non-principal amounts include penalties, fines, fees, and administrative costs. For a lending transaction, you're not required to report any amount other than stated principal. A lending transaction occurs when a lender loans money to or makes advances on behalf of a borrower, including revolving credit and lines of credit. See, I've always assumed that I was the borrower when I went to the bank, okay? And that the bank was the one that was loaning me the money. But apparently, according to Patrick Devine and a lot of people, it's the other way around. The banks don't really loan us money. I mean, when I was buying my house, I don't remember them giving me a whole bunch of money that I can roll around in naked. I just don't remember. Like it was just credits or something, you know? And it was my signature. So I was the creditor, not the borrower. And when I signed my name on that security instrument, they sold it. They foreclosed upon it when they did closing, and they sold it, and it was paid for. Then they were trying to get me to double dip and pay them as if they had given me money, which they never did. For a non-lending transaction, non-principal amounts are included in the debt. However, until further guidance is issued, do I sound like Charlie Brown's teacher? Wah, 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 because nobody is understanding any of this stuff. No penalties will be imposed for failure to report these amounts in non-lending transactions. Well, they didn't really lend me anything, so I guess I won't be having any penalties imposed, but then I want my money. I'm just saying. Foreign debtors. Hey, now this one sounds pretty good. Well, who's that? Who's that? Who is a foreign debtor? Would that be the banks? Until further guidance is issued, no penalty will apply if a financial institution does not file Form 1099-C. They're not. For a debt canceled by its foreign branch or foreign office for a foreign debtor, provided all the following apply. A, the financial institution is engaged in the active conduct of a banking or similar business outside the United States. Just 1 second here. The financial institution is engaged in the active conduct of a banking or similar business outside Washington, D.C. Is that what that means? I think so. The branch or office is a permanent place of business that is regularly maintained, occupied, and used to carry on a banking or similar financial business. The business is conducted by at least one employee of the branch or office who is regularly in attendance at the place of business during normal working hours. The indebtedness is extended outside the United States, which we know is Washington, D.C., by the way, the 10 square miles. This is a corporation. By the branch or office in connection with that trade or business. The financial institution does not know or have reason to know that the debtor is a U.S. person. All right, we gotta break this down a little bit more because I'm a little confused here. The financial institution does not know or have reason to know that the debtor is a U.S. person. I don't know who they're talking about. I really hate doublespeak. I really hate duality because this is ridiculous, because this is twisted. Related parties. Generally, a creditor is not required to file Form 1099-C for the deemed cancellation of a debt that occurs when the creditor acquires the debt of a related debtor. Becomes related to the debtor or transfers the debt to another creditor related to the debtor. Oh my gosh, are you serious? That sentence is ridiculous. Generally, a creditor is not required to file Form 1099-C for the deemed cancellation of a debt that occurs when the creditor acquires the debt of a related debtor. What does that mean? Related debtor. Don't you dare switch screens on me. Oof, gosh. Becomes related to the debtor or transfers the debt to another creditor related to the debtor. Are we talking about relationships or something here? However, if the transfer to a related party by the creditor was for the purpose of avoiding the Form 1099-C requirements, Form 1099-C is required. What the heck are they talking about? Release of a debtor. You are not required to file Form 1099-C if you release one of the debtors on a debt, as long as the remaining debtors are liable for the full unpaid amount. Guarantor or surety. You are not required to file Form 1099-C for a guarantor or surety. A guarantor is not a debtor for the purposes of filing Form 1099-C, even if demand for payment is made to the guarantor. So would that be like a cosigner or something? I don't know. Number 8. We're on page 5, just in case my screen goes crazy. Seller financing. That sounds interesting. Like, you know how when you go to the car dealership, we're going to finance me. Organizations whose principal trade or business is the sale of non-financial goods or non-financial services, and who extend credit to customers in connection with the purchase of those non-financial goods and non-financial services, like a car maybe, are not considered to have a significant trade or business of lending money. But they do. With respect to the credit extended in connection with the purchase of those goods or services for reporting discharge of indebtedness on Form 1099-C, see regulations 1.6050P-2C. But the reporting applies if a separate financing subsidiary of the retailer extends the credit to the retailer's customers. So that last part says, but the reporting applies if a separate financing subsidiary of the retailer extends the credit to the retailer's customers. Interesting. I don't know. Here's 9, student loan indebtedness. For discharges occurring after December 31st, 2017, you are not required to file Form 1099-C for student loan indebtedness if the discharge of the debt is due to the student's death or permanent and total disability. Okay. Whatever multiple debtors for debts of $10,000 or more incurred after 1994 that involve debtors who are jointly and severally liable for the debt, you must report the entire amount of the canceled debt on each debtor's Form 1099-C. Multiple debtors are jointly and severally liable for a debt if there is no clear and convincing evidence to the contrary. If it can be shown that joint and several liability does not exist, a Form 1099-C is required for each debtor for whom you canceled a debt of $600 or more. For debts incurred before 1995 and for debts of less than $10,000 incurred after 1994, you must file Form 1099-C only for the primary or first name debtor. If you know or have reason to know that the multiple debtors were husband and wife who were living at the same address when the debt was incurred, and you have no information that these circumstances have changed, you may file only one Form 1099-C. Okay. So, I don't know, Patrick Devine, I just don't know. Record keeping, if you are required to file Form 1099-C, you must retain a copy of that form or be able to reconstruct the data for at least 4 years from the due date of the return. Requesting TINs, TINs, tax identification numbers. All right, here we go. You must make a reasonable effort to obtain the correct name and TIN of the person whose debt was canceled. You may obtain the TIN when the debt is incurred. If you do not obtain the TIN before the debt is canceled, you must request the debtor's TIN, tax identification number. Your request must clearly notify the debtor that the IRS requires the debtor to furnish its TIN, and that failure to furnish such TIN subjects the debtor to a $50 penalty imposed by the IRS. You may use Form W-9, Request for Taxpayer Identification Number, and certification to request the tax identification number. However, a debtor is not required to certify his or her TIN under penalties of perjury. So the one time that I called the court traffic collector person and I asked for their TIN, they were like, we don't know what that is. Tax identification number. I gotta fill out my forms. You don't want to be charged $50 from the IRS, do you? Because I gotta do my taxes. And he's like, oh, let me ask my supervisor. And they gave it to me. And then I was able to do the 1099-C, 1099-A. I think I did the 1099-A first, abandonment of property, and then the 1099-C. Well, let's just see something here. Statements to debtors. Who would that be? If you are required to file Form 1099-C, you must provide a copy of Form 1099-C or an acceptable substitute statement to each debtor. In the 2019 General Instructions for Certain Information Returns, see Part M for more information about the requirement to furnish a statement to the debtor, and Part J for specific procedures to complete Form 1099-C for debtors in bankruptcy. I'm just trying to think for a second. If we were told by all these peoples, the guru peoples, to do a 1099-C, that means cancellation of debt, and we were called the creditors, and the bank or whoever, the court, that was a Freudian slip, by the way, the court is a bank. If the court was the debtor and we were filing the 1099-C, we canceled their debt for our ticket. Does that make sense? It doesn't make sense to me. We know that they're doing insider trading and they're getting paid a lot more money than this little $910. So that's why Lucky L said to do all those nines, because we don't really know. So he said that that would get the IRS red flag so they would look into it, because they are like considered nonprofit, or what are they doing? 501c3, and we're gifting. They're taking the money out of the public trust using our name as they are the administrators of the trust. So we're the creditor. Why are we canceling their debt? Because it's not our debt. I don't know. Doesn't make sense to me. I know all about the abandonment of property. We're like, hey, that's our money that they're taking. Oh, and they're supposed to pay it back. Remember? Yeah, that's what it is. We checked that box because they're supposed to pay it back. Okay, I get that. All right. That again. I get that. Truncating debtors tin on pay statements. Yeah, we already talked about that. We read it. Truncation is not allowed on any documents. That means to just only put a few of the numbers of their tin or AN. Account number is required if you have multiple accounts. We already read this. The account number is required if you have multiple accounts for a debtor for whom you are filing more than one form. Additionally, the IRS encourages you to designate an account number for all forms 1099-C that you file. See Part L. Okay. Did I already read this again before? This looks so familiar to me. I know I've read it a few times, but I just didn't know if I was reading it here. Okay, box 1, date of identifiable event. Yeah. Amount of debt discharged. Interest, yeah. Debt description, yeah. Check here if the debtor was personally liable. Yeah, that's the one we want to check, because they took money out and they need to pay it back. That's box number 5. Yeah, I've already read this. I've already read this. What happened in this weird thing here? Is that it? I guess that's it. So let's just look at this one. Box 7, fair market value of property. Fair market value should include the appraised value of the property if the property is sold in a short sale. I know I've read this already. If you are filing a combined Form 1099-C and 1099-A for foreclosure, execution, or similar sale, enter the fair market value of the property. Generally, the gross foreclosure bid price is considered to be the fair market value. If an abandonment or voluntary conveyance to the lender in lieu of foreclosure occurred, enter the appraised value of the property. So I would think that this has got to do with a house versus some type of a traffic ticket. See how weird that happened? This is bizarre. I just thought this was interesting over here. Who must file? I see a credit union, Federal Deposit Insurance, National Credit Union, any other federal, any military, like a hair, U.S. Postal Service. What up with that? Postal Rate Commission. So where's us? Which one are we? Are we a corporation? that is a subsidiary of a financial institution or credit union? I don't think so. But only if because your affiliation, I don't think so. Whereas us, any organization whose significant trade or business is lending money. I'm an ATM, such as finance company or credit card. Now, lending money is a significant trade or business if money is lent on a regular basis. How did, what's his face, Patrick Devine, come up with the thing that we are the ones that are the creditor? Because right here, it just says down here, who must file. We're not a financial institution, are we? Described in section 581 or 591A, such as a domestic bank, trust company, building and loan association, or savings and loan. I don't know. I don't see that. A credit union? No. Any of the following its successor? No. I don't see us in any of this, you guys, at all. I'm just wondering. I'm just saying. We're going to have to like look at one of the Radiant Clone videos on Patrick Devine on why the 1099-C, who, how come, why. I'm just saying, because I'm not seeing it here. Anyways, I'm tired, so I read all that boring stuff, so hopefully I'll listen to it again and see if, you know, it makes any sense, but kind of didn't really click. Okay, I hope that helps. We'll see.